Okay, so let's begin. My name is Jibby James and I work as Senior Manager Admissions at the Indian School of Business. Uh, Most of you might have already interacted with me or one of our admissions team representatives earlier. So as we all know that round 2 deadline is December 5th. So what we wanted to do is to help you out in case if you have any last minute queries or to give you certain tips which will help you in putting a strong case for your application. So I'll be, quickly touching upon a few points uh, with respect to different sections of the application, which might help you in either modifying certain sections or updating certain sections. So the agenda is quite clear in the maybe starting 15 or 20 minutes or maybe maximum half an hour. I'll try to finish with the presentation and then we'll begin with the Q&A. Meanwhile, I would just request you or not to type anything in the chat section or Q&A because it keeps popping up in between and might distract me. So uh, so as you all know that in the application, you'll have 6 different sections. First one is the academics, then you'll have your awards and activities, then your work experience, then your test score, is a GMAT or a GRE score, then you'll have your essay and your recommendation. So I'll touch base upon each section individually and what is it that you can write in those sections. So starting with the academics section, we all know that you cannot go back and change your academics. So you don't have to worry about that. In case, we have had a few queries where your college name might be missing in the drop down. What you can do is write to pgp@isb.edu with your college name and the state in which your college is, and we'll update those details from the backend. You don't have to worry in case if we do not respond because right now in the next 5 days which we have, a lot of emails will be coming in, so we might not be able to respond to all the emails in time. So what I would suggest is in case if you do not receive a response to your email or your query, choose the best option available from the drop downs in different sections, not just the academic section, but any other section wherein you have any confusion. And once you have done and submitted it, submitted your application, you can write us an email at pgp@isb.edu stating that I did not get a response in time, so I would just want you to change specific details, not the essays, not the recommendation, not these kind of details, but specific details which might be related to your academics or maybe work experience mentioned incorrectly. The subjective details cannot be changed, but yeah, wherever you have drop downs or anything of that sort, yeah, those details we can update from the backend. So with respect to your academics, you cannot go back and change your academics, and you can get in touch with current students. You can get in touch with alumni, through LinkedIn. You'll get to know that there's no specific cutoff as such with respect to academics. Your academics or just your GMAT or a GRE score cannot define your true potential. And that is why we have this platform, which is your application, as a storytelling platform, wherein you can, help us to know you more by giving insights into what is it that interests you and what are your different skill sets, characteristics, and qualities. Uh, Now, I'm also preempting a few questions which might come in. So, in case if you have a gap in your education, again, you don't have to worry. It won't have any negative impact. What we want from your end is you have to explain the reason why you had that gap. So, do not leave anything to interpretation because we do not know what situation you might have been in. So better to explain each and every aspect wherever you think that this may be a hindrance for my application getting shortlisted. For example, if there is a gap in your education or in your employment, you'll have a space wherein you can specify the reason. Maybe, you might have had a family tragedy, right? Or some personal issue or some medical issue because of which, you were unable to continue. So till the time your reasons are valid, you don't have to worry about, any gap in your education. And at one point in time, you can pursue only one full-time program. So in case if you get enrolled into PGP, right, you should not be pursuing any other program. I know most of you won't be doing that, and almost none of you would be doing that. But still, we have had certain cases before, so we just want to specify this. And there are questions many a times wherein candidates ask that, I have done certifications, I have done online courses. Where do I plug in those details? So under the academics section, you'll have a subsection named additional education. Once you click on that link, you'll you will be able to enter details related to your online certifications and all those things. In case if you do not have a CGPA or anything, you can mention all these things here. You can also talk about your internships here, but internships can also be talked about in the work experience section, where we'll be asking those things as well. uh, so yeah, this is with respect to the academics. You cannot change anything in your academics, but you can add value to your academics in case if you have done online certifications or any other course. So in case if you have a low academic score, which according to you is a low score, you can always counterbalance for it by working well in the other sections of your application. The next section is your work experience section. Now, in your work experience section, what we are more interested in knowing about is what kind of work have you done. So it's not, I would say, the years of experience which would matter. What would matter is the quality of work that you have done. So, for example, your different roles and responsibilities which you might have held, maybe in the same organization or multiple organizations. What I would suggest you to do is list down each and everything which you have done in your current organization and previous organizations, and then choose the most important ones which you definitely want to highlight in your application. So this will actually make your job easier, and you'll be able to pick those points and then highlight those points, and also try to ensure that you don't talk about just one particular aspect or one particular characteristic, but try to talk about multiple skill sets, multiple qualities in you through your work experience as well, right? So in your job responsibilities, you'll have 5 points to mention. Please adhere to the word limit and the character limit. We will also be looking at your leadership capabilities, your initiatives which you have taken in your organization, and your achievements, right? So when I talk about leadership capabilities, it need not come through you being at a manager level. Even if you're working in a team, as a team player, you can always showcase leadership potential. So I'll just give you an example which I use every time. Let's say if you're playing badminton and you play badminton doubles. So if your partner is not playing well, it's completely up to you now to either make the situation or break the situation. If, let's say, I am playing and my partner is not playing well, and if I tell my partner that, you're not playing good, because of you, we are losing, and I start criticizing him or her, we might as well end up losing the game even worse. On the other hand, if I motivate my partner, I tell that, okay, there are times where I don't play that well, but you cover up for me. So let me cover up for you today. And by the time you regain your confidence, we'll get back into the game and try to win it. And we might as well end up winning the game. So just through this small example of a sport, you learn a lot many things. You showcase a lot many things. Handling pressure, right? Adjusting according to the situation, motivating your partner, motivating your team, acting as a team leader there, right? So try to bring about those points through your work experience as well. Now, there can be many initiatives that you might have taken, right? You might have suggested a few things, maybe to your manager or to the management or to your client, which initially was not there, let's say, in the requirement document. But then, okay, Amit, I can just see a pop-up wherein the candidate is saying that they are unable to hear me. Can you just confirm if you are able to hear me?
Yes, GP, we are able to hear you. So for people who are not able to hear us, please log off and log in again and use computer audio. Should be able to hear.
Yeah, maybe, if you can just type it in the chat section, I guess that will help them. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of initiatives which you have taken, it can be related to your work. It can also be related to social initiatives or CSR initiatives which you have taken, right? And achievements can also be of, different kinds. So one is a direct achievement of or award which you have received. There can be certain appreciations which you might have received from your client or your organization. So you can talk about all these points. All these fields in your application are different ways for us to get more insights into your different qualities, capabilities, and skill sets. So use each and every possible space available. Now again, there are a few questions around when will our reporting managers and HRs be reached out to. So till the time you are not enrolled into the system, we won't be reaching out to them. Once you are enrolled into the system, we may reach out to your reporting managers or HR. It's just like a background verification which is done not just by ISB but by any other organization. Right. One very important thing is be honest, be transparent. Whatever you have done, you should be thorough with it, and you should be able to talk about it in case if you're shortlisted for the interview. Right? Many a times, people think that okay, if I write this in my work experience, maybe this will help in getting me shortlisted. uh, yes, maybe that can help you to get a shortlist, but then in the interviews is the alumni who will be taking your interviews, and they will try to ask you different things around what you have written in your application in your work experience. So in case if you are not able to justify what you have written, then that will be a negative there. So just ensure that you are honest. Don't compare yourself with others. That maybe somebody else would have written this, so let me also write this. Right? Treat your application as your storytelling platform. You are not writing somebody else's story. For us, what matters is the quality of work experience. So what you do is more important than CTC and organization stature. So showcase your profile as we will decide basis what you write. The next section is your recommendation section. Who would be an ideal recommender? Person whom you have worked very closely with is your ideal recommender. And here, what matters to us is the quality of the evaluation or your recommendation, not the designation of your recommender. Have not worked closely with your CEO, for example, and you want to get a recommendation from your CEO may, you know, provide good inputs, right? But maybe those inputs might be generic and might not give us much insights about you. On the other hand, if you get it, let's say from your immediate reporting manager or your reporting manager from your previous project or your reporting manager from your previous company, right? Uh, they will be able to bring about different qualities and talk about a lot of your strengths. So that will actually be more useful for us. In case if you have a family business or are an entrepreneur, you can get your recommendation from your client, a business partner, supplier, auditor, or banker. In any case, you just have to remember that you should not get a recommendation from your family member. And your recommender actually will get 5 days grace period beyond the deadline. That means if 5th December is the deadline, your recommender will get time till 10th of December to submit their recommendation. But you will have to submit the entire application on or before 5th December. The next section is the test score section. So I don't have much on this slide. It's just about the range with which the current students have come in. Current class, we have students ranging between 600 and 770, and GRE scores ranging between 313 and 338. Now, let me just give you an example here. There was a candidate who scored 770 in GMAT. There was a candidate who scored 620 in GMAT. Now, the 770 candidate was not selected. The 620 candidate was selected. Now, what inference do you make here? It's all about what you write in your application. As I said initially, your academics or your GMAT or GRE scores cannot define your true potential, right? So help us to understand more about you. Maybe on that particular day of the exam or the test, you weren't able to give in your best. That's completely understandable, right? But counterbalance for it by working really well, by highlighting your different capabilities in the rest of the application. Now, the last important section is the essay section, right? Now, in the essay section, you'll have 2 questions, and if you are a reapplicant, you'll have 3 questions. Now, if you are applying for the first time, the 2 questions which will be asked would be around, again, why do you think you are a good fit for ISB? I am not talking about the exact question, but the question will revolve around this concept. And the second question would be somewhere around what interests you, and down the line, what do you think you would want to do? Okay. Now think about these 2 questions there should be something which interests you. Right now, wherever you are working or whatever you are doing, maybe you want to grow and continue in the same thing, or maybe you might have found a different interest and you want to pursue that down the line. Maybe you want to change your industry, or maybe you want to change your role. That's completely all right. But we just want to know, do you have a thought process around it? If you haven't started thinking around it, start thinking right now and get your answers in line to this particular concept. If there is something which interests you, then what we would want to know is, what have you done till now in order to pursue that particular interest? And once you join ISB, what are the efforts you'll put in from your end to be able to reach closer to that particular goal or to pursue that particular interest? So if you know the answer to these 3 questions, one is, why do you want to do an MBA? Second is, why do you want to do an MBA from ISB? And the third question, why do you want to do an MBA now? If you can try figuring out the answer to these 3 questions, you will be able to write a really good essay and plug in the important highlights about you in different sections of your application. So reflect on your experiences, let your thoughts flow, and as I said, treat the application form and even the essay section as a storytelling platform. Everybody would be writing that, I'm a good team player, I can handle pressure and all that. Do you think that this will differentiate you or your story from others? No, right? What will differentiate your application from others is your uniqueness about your essays, about your own story. So when you give it a personal touch, that is when it will give more insights about you. So try to bring out those examples in your life, be it in your professional life or be it in your personal life. Try to talk about those examples and then the learnings and outcomes through those situations. Yes, professional diversity matters to us, but personal diversity also matters. We, uh, you may be a very good leader, you may be at a very good position in your organization, right? But what matters is also your personal attributes, right? Your interpersonal skills. So try to bring about all those points. Language and tone is important. So please try not to make any grammatical error. Please read through, uh, review it, get it reviewed from others, so that maybe you might have written something which you think is right, but somebody else, let's say your friends, your colleagues at work, maybe might be able to tell you, oh, you didn't include this point because this is also a good point about you. So why don't you also incorporate this, right? So get your essays reviewed, and the more points or more reviews you get, you'll be able to better your essays. Mind the word limit, because whatever word limit is there in the essay section, once we assess your essays or evaluate your essays, the words till the word limit only will be in front of us. Whatever you have written beyond the word limit will just disappear. You may be able to write as much as you want to in the essay section, but then we will be able to see only till the word limit. Okay. Uh, so this is what I've already talked about, but yeah, I'm just emphasizing and I'm just reading through these points. What makes you unique? Try to think around those points. Don't compare yourself with others. Don't think that what makes that person unique. No. Think about what makes you unique. If you a co-creator or a change agent, that means pick up those instances from your work life or your personal life where uh, you know uh, through your actions, somebody else's life or maybe your organization's productivity, your own productivity or somebody else's productivity has changed. uh, how can you add to the diversity of the batch? Maybe for you, certain things might be, or certain achievements might be small achievements. But for us, maybe those small achievements might also give insights about you. So think from that perspective. As I said, try to talk as much as possible about you, which bring out different qualities and characteristics in you. Right? So clarity of thought is important. Plus, do your research about ISB. As I said, once you join ISB, how will you be able to pursue that particular interest which you have, or how will ISB help you reach closer to that goal? Maybe through joining different professional clubs, social clubs, doing experiential learning programs, student exchange programs, participating in events, and need not be academic. Let's say if you like dance, right? You can join the dance club at ISB to enhance that particular skill set. So what I would suggest you to do is make three buckets. The first bucket would be the qualities which you are good at. Second is the qualities which you have, but you need to improve on those qualities. Third would be the qualities which you currently don't have, but you want to acquire those qualities at ISB. And then map all these three buckets with what ISB offers you in terms of specializations, electives, clubs, events, and so on. That is how you will be able to answer it better. If you are a reapplicant, you will have one more essay. And through this essay, again, we want to know is Since the time you last applied to ISB, have been the changes or positive changes in you? Have you done from your end in order to learn and grow more? And it can be both professional. Maybe you have done certifications, online courses, something of that sort, or maybe you joined the gym, some dance class, some music class, or it can be anything. So, what is it that positively affected you? You can talk about all those things. You can also take points from your previous essays, uh, and if you want, you can replicate it entirely. But then again, as I said, we would want to know what have been the changes in you, right? So maybe you might reuse certain points, but ensure that you talk about more points which you have acquired recently. So one more thing, which just came at the top of my mind right now, be it your essays or your reapplicant essay, try not to copy paste what you have already talked about in your work experience or other sections of your application, because these won't give any additional insights to us then. Maybe if you feel that there are certain points in your application which need to be reiterated, please go ahead and mention those points again. But what we are more interested in knowing is what were the reasons because of which you did that particular thing, or because of which you achieved that particular thing. What were the learnings out of it? What were the outcomes, right? So with this, I come to the end of the presentation. I hope you would have gotten insights into how to make your application stronger. Plus, since I already preempted a few of the questions, I would have been able to answer a lot of questions as well. One point which I missed out in the GMAT GRE section, I just want to now, which is uh, you can take your GMAT or a GRE even on the day of the deadline. So for you to be considered for round two, you have to ensure that your date of taking the test is on or before December 5. And you also have to submit your application on or before December 5. Now, you may say that I don't have my official score. If I take my exam on December 5th, I won't have the official score. That's completely all right. But as soon as you complete your test, you will have the score popping out, right, on the screen, which is your unofficial score. So just make a note of that. And in the test section of your application, enter that unofficial score. Enter that unofficial score there. And what you can do then is, in the document upload section, where it asks you to upload the GMAT or GRE test score, take a screenshot of the email which you would have received by GMAC or ETS, which has your test date, that on this date you are taking the test and at this time. Take that screenshot, copy and paste it in a Word document, save that Word document as a PDF and upload that document. If there are other sections, let's say IR, AWA sections for which you do not know the scores, you can, put the maximum scores. And anyway, once we receive your official scores, um, we will be updating that from the backend. But for you to have that ease of submitting the application, you can submit your application even with the unofficial score. Just ensure, and it is mandatory, that you report your scores officially to ISB. That is how we will be validating your scores. So you can reach out to us on this phone number and email ID. But I'm just informing you right now that since we are reaching the deadline, we'll be receiving loads and loads of emails and phone calls. So we might miss out on your call or your email. So just as I said, choose the best available option in your application which is closest to what you actually want to select and submit your application, and then you can write an email stating that, since there was no option available in the application, please update this to this particular information. That's it. So with this, I come to the end of the presentation. Now we'll go to the Q&A. Please go ahead and type your questions in the chat section. I will be able, happy to take your questions. And we have Mr. Amit, who is the Associate Director of Admissions for PGP, who will be answering those questions. Okay. Just give me one moment. I am just going through the questions. Okay. So Amit, there is a question from Sumuk. Um, can I take the letter of recommendation 2 months before applying?
Yes, absolutely. So you can take the letter of recommendation in the application form. In the LOR section, you can enter the details of the evaluator, click on submit in that particular section, and the link will be triggered to your evaluator. Evaluator can fill it up and send and click on submit in the link, and the evaluation will be auto submitted to us. So yes, you can take the evaluation anytime in the application process.
A question from Maitri, can an evaluator also give a letter of recommendation? So just to clarify, we only require one letter of recommendation or evaluation. I'm so sorry. So Maitri, just one recommendation is enough. So by evaluation and recommendation, we mean the same. A question from Devjyoti. If I am from a regional medium, is ISB a best fit for me? And what is the minimum years of work experience required to apply for ISB?
Sure. So being from a regional medium does not in any way hinder your chances of either applying to ISB or succeeding at ISB as well. So a lot of people have come from vernacular medium, be it Gujarati, Tamil, or other mediums. But one criteria is you should have completed your undergraduation in English. So in case you're not completed your undergraduation in English, then you will also need to submit a TOEFL score to us, right? So that's the only requirement. Otherwise, if you've completed your schooling in regional medium, then you are still eligible to apply to ISB and you will still do well because ISB is has the curriculum is based on various subjects where English is not a subject per se, So you can still succeed in the curriculum in your choices of electives coming from a vernacular background. Only caveat is your undergraduation should be in English, else you need to submit a TOEFL score. Now, regarding the second part of the question, which was when can I apply? You can apply even when you are in college through the WILE program. You can apply if you're working, if you have less than 2 years, another early entry option at ISB. Under both of these sections, you'll be given a deferred admission. That is, that you will not be joining in the year in which you apply, but you'll be joining in the year in which you complete your 24 months of work experience for EDO and 20 months for YLP. And for any other candidates, if you have 24 months of work experience as of now, you can apply for the current cycle and join in the current year itself.
So those 24 months will be till 31st of March 2022.
Correct.
So question from Divya, will organizing any event in office be counted as extracurricular?
perfectly fine. So it will be counted as extracurricular. It you know showcases a skill set, an organizational skill set. It showcases responsibility. Only thing is that please do ensure that you get proof of that extracurricular activities if you're mentioning in the extracurricular section. It could be an email from the HR of the organization, or a certificate on a letterhead, or any other certificate signed by competent authority of organization.
Question from Saloni. My DU transcript does not have the dean's signature on it, but has all details of the papers I took. While I have requested for the official transcript expected to come in 2 to 3 weeks, can I apply with the current one in the interim?
Yes, you can apply in the current one in the interim, and as soon as you get the official transcripts, you can send them to pgp@isb.in.
Uh, Question from Viren. Could you also throw some light on scholarships?
Sure. So at ISB, we offer three types of scholarships to our candidates. One is scholarships at the time of application, or when you are being considered for ISB. The second is once you become ISB students, and the third is once when you're graduating from ISB. The first type, when you are applying to ISB, we have scholarships like merit scholarship, merit company scholarship, and there are a few others like AT&T scholarships, which you can fill in the application form itself. Now, merit scholarship, everyone is considered by default, and the criteria here is your performance in the ISB selection process, which consists of your profile score, your interview score, and the composite overall score, which is addition of these two scores in a ratio. Now, the top people, as part of the merit list, will be given tuition fee waivers ranging from up to 100% of tuition fee waivers, which is available in round one, and up to 75% of tuition fee waivers, which is available in round two and round three. The other scholarship is merit cum means, which is for people whose annual family income is less than 12 lakhs per annum, which includes the candidate's income as well as the dependent's income. So if you have a spouse, it will include the income of your spouse as well as yourselves. If you have dependent parents, then their income as well will be counted in the 12 lakh per annum category. And here again, you are eligible for tuition fee waivers of various denominations. The next type of scholarship is scholarships which you get once you're ISB students. So here there are a lot of named scholarships available, scholarships named after our professors, named after our alums, scholarships offered by various organizations. And each of these scholarships will have a timeline where they will release the forms, you apply for them individually and be considered for getting scholarships from these organizations. So there is a scholarship called Mansa Mandava scholarship for women, which is named after one of our professors, and similarly many others. The third type is for people when they graduating from ISB. So there's a Strictly scholarship, there's a president scholarship, there's a development scholarships, and these are given to people for various, initiatives taken. For example, Strictly scholarship is given to people who have specialized in IT and have scored very well. The President's Scholarship is given to top 15 people in various categories from the batch. Then the Development Scholarship is given to people who are going to work in the development sector after graduating from ISB. So here the thought process is that since you'll be taking a pay cut, or you may not be paid as much as any other corporate sector job in lieu of working for developing the country, we give you an additional stipend for the 12 months after you graduate, which is up to 30,000 rupees per month. So there are various such scholarships, and all the scholarships are mentioned in detail on your fees and financing page in the PG application section of the website. So please go through and look at all these scholarships, and you can apply to them in the given time frames.
Thanks, Amit. The next question is from Anubhav. Is there a designated section where I explain an employment gap on my resume?
So if there's a gap, there are sections when you fill in the application in the work section, and when there's a gap, there'll be a checkbox do you have there's a gap in your work experience. You check that box, a text field opens up for you to explain that particular gap. But at ISB, our policy is to not look at gaps in your work, but we look at what you have done rather than what you have not done. So even if you have gaps in your work experience, that's not a negative per se. The focus or stress in evaluation is more on what you have achieved rather than the gaps. So only thing is that in the interview you might be asked why there was a gap, and you have to be prepared for an answer without being defensive or and give a justification for the gap. That's the only thing that might be asked, and then that's again up to the interviewer to ask. But in ISP evaluation, we do not look at gaps; we look at what you have achieved.
A question from Vikash. I do not have a passport. Will I be able to submit application without it?
Yes, you can add your Aadhaar card details. So if you do not have a passport, mention your Aadhaar card number and that will be accepted. And you can upload your Aadhaar card in lieu of your passport in that particular upload section and that will be accepted.
Question from Dhriti. Wanted to confirm if internships can be included in work experience section.
So if your internship is not part of your undergrad, if it's not clashing with any of your academic qualifications, and if it's a paid internship, then you can mention that as a full-time work experience. Typically, for people who work as management trainees for the first year, uh, that is considered as a work experience. But if your internship is in between your semester breaks or is part of your requirement for fulfilling your undergrad requirements or graduation requirements, then it will not be counted as work experience. Uh, and if it's not paid, if it's a pro bono activity, even then it will not be counted as a work experience. However, you can add internships in your part-time work experience if you have done any internships along with your uh, undergrad degree.
So, just one more point to add here, in case if you have done CA articleship also, uh, for that also you'll have a separate section in the under the work experience. You can select part-time, full-time. So you for CA articleship it will come under part-time because that's part of your course. So just ensure that you find out those places. If it's, as Amit already mentioned, all these points can be, or all these buttons, radio buttons you'll have to choose from, can be found under the work experience section, and you can highlight all those points accordingly. Question from Akash. I'll be transitioning from my current role post application submission and wanted to know how I could highlight the same appropriately in the application, given right now I am not in a position to provide a detailed overview as requested in the form.
So what I'll suggest is that you mention your workings as on date in the application. So what you're doing currently, even if you're in a notice period, mention that particular thing in your workings part. What we'll be doing in future, let's say if you're called for the interview in the month of Jan and that time you change your job, then you can mention that to the interviewers saying that I have changed my job recently, 15 days back. So that is perfectly fine. But what is more important is at this particular point when you are submitting application, you should mention where you are working. Say, for instance, if now on 30th of November you're working in a particular organization, but on 5th you joined some other organization and your application you're submitting an application 5th, you can mention that particular in this thing as a new work experience and joining date as a 5th, and mention the key responsibilities which are expected to perform. That's all is required. You need not add anything else.
Question from Sanjana. My university is not mentioned in the list. What to do?
So in case your university is not mentioned in the list, write a mail to pgp@isb.edu asking them to add your university, mention your university details, and preferably also attach a copy, a photo of your degree certificate so that we can enter the exact name of the university in the backend portal. And we'll let you know it should be done in maximum of 24 hours. And then you can select the appropriate university on a drop-down menu.
Question from Kriti. I took a gap of few months of job gap. Can I provide the recommendation letter from last uh, job senior?
Yes. So if you're currently not working, then you can provide the recommendation letter from the previous or the last employment experience which you had. From there, you can give the recommendation, get the recommendation letter completed or filled.
Okay. Question from Maitri. I'll answer this. What time is the application deadline on December 5th? It is 11:59 p.m. December 5th, 11:59 p.m. is the deadline for your round 2 application. Question from Syed. For GMAT upload, can I upload a PDF of the unofficial screenshot provided by the test center? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
From the test center, you will actually get the unofficial score. You can take a printout, take a PDF also. But for the online GMAT, you cannot take anything. You can't even take a screenshot when the score is displayed because uh, the proctor might consider it as a malicious activity. So, so sorry. So, in case of online, then you won't have an unofficial score report or PDF as such. In that case, you'll have to upload the email from GMAC where it says that this is your test date and this is your test time. Question from Arpit. I want to know that when I apply for round 2, can I share an updated GMAT score after retaking the exam on 29th December? Will that be considered for my round 2 application?
No, unfortunately, we'll not consider any scores sent after 5th December. You take the test on or before 5th December. So even if your score comes in later, it's fine, but the test date should be 5th December to be considered on in round 2. Uh, so we'll not be able to accept the score once you submitted the application in round 2.
I'm just skipping a few questions which are repetitive and have been answered already. Question from Kumari Shikha. In total, how many interview calls are offered?
So there is no fixed number of calls in mind when we start evaluating the candidates. What we have, as we have been telling candidates earlier, is that we generate a profile score for each and every application, which consists of your academics, your work experience, your essays, your test score, and your letter of recommendation. Now, this file score is generated for all the applicants, and there's a predetermined cutoff for this profile score, above which we call candidates for interview. So even if a large number of candidates meet the cutoff, we'll call all of them for interview. There's no fixed number as such. As long as you meet the cutoff, you will be called for the interview.
Question from Lohit. Okay, this is a profile evaluation related question. So in case if there are more profile related questions, we won't be answering those profile related questions because the answer will be same for each and every question. Maybe what I'll do, Amit, is I'll just generalize this question so that you can give uh, an answer which suffices all the profile
Sure.
evaluations. Uh, so it's basically around if I'm from, let's say, this particular industry, or I have worked in, let's say, this kind of a company, or maybe a startup, or maybe an MNC, or maybe not that well known a company, and I have a GMAT or a GRE score within that particular range. Uh, can you give me a frank advice? Will I be selected or not?
So, I'm sorry, Jimmy, could you please repeat that? He's asking us about a score being in a particular range and whether he can apply with that score or not.
So it's like his score is in a particular range, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, he's from a particular industry
Mm-hmm.
and may have worked in an MNC or a startup or
Mm-hmm.
maybe a company which is not that well known.
Mm-hmm.
All these factors taken into consideration along with that particular score, will it impact the selection in any way?
Yes, so I get the gist of the question. So, in this presentation, GP had shown the range for GMAT scores and GRE scores earlier. So, GMAT range is 600 to 780, and GRE range is 313, 338. Now, what is the reason for this wide range of GMAT and GREs, right? Somebody with 313 is also getting in, somebody with 782 is also getting in, 600 is also getting it. The reason is the holistic evaluation which we have for the candidates. So we not focus on any one parameter alone, like a GMAT score. GMAT score is just one component of the evaluation process which we follow. The others like your work experience. So how many years, which organizations, is it an MNC, is it a startup, is it from the not-for-profit sector? What are your responsibilities? What is your career progression there? All these things are also considered. Then about your acads, what degree, what university, what scores. Again, your essays, your thought process, your articulation skills, your career goals, visions, LOR, all those things are also considered. Hence, all those things matter a lot. So it's not just a GMAT score which we have a cutoff for. We have a cutoff for the profile score, as I mentioned. So balance, see at your overall profile, if you have very good parameters, three or four, two or three, and if your one other parameters is lesser, you can definitely cover up with the other parameters. So if your GMAT score is lesser, you can, and if you have good CATs and good work experience, definitely it will cover up. If your GMAT score is high, if your CATs are not that great, it will cover up. So all those factors you have to look at. So don't reject yourself. This is just one parameter, is my suggestion to all the candidates. Do not self-reject. Look at your holistic profile and give yourself a chance and give us a chance to consider you as well.
Lohit, you have written here that you have 700, uh, right? And you are also asking whether, I don't know whether it's your score or you're just trying to find out that if somebody applies with a 640 GMAT in R2 and if somebody applies with a 700 GMAT in R3. Right? That is the question which you have also specifically asked. So Amit has already answered that, right? 647, and I can give you one example which I already given, but I'll just give you 740, 770 I had given earlier, but I personally had spoken to many candidates. Uh, One of them had a 740 GMAT and was not selected, right? Now, the reason for that person not being selected is sometimes what happens is we tend to think that, okay, I have scored good enough, my score is good, I can be accepted in any good B school. So that person actually didn't, use the rest of the application uh, to, to work upon an already existing good GMAT score, because of which the overall profile score which Amit is talking about was lesser as compared to someone who scored really, in, let's say towards the lower spectrum of the score range, let's say around 620 or 650. That person knew that I need to work well on the other sections of my application, which will enhance my overall profile score. So that overall profile score is what matters. If you're talking about a 700 GMAT, your, let's say, your test score section of the application is completely dependent on how you perform. For example, let's say if it is scored out of 5, I'm just giving an example. If you score 800 out of 800 in your GMAT, you will get 5 out of 5 in the test score section of your application, right? But in the other sections of your application, you'll still have to work, because just because you scored a 5 out of 5 in your test score doesn't mean that you'll score 5 out of 5 in the other sections. Question from Tuhin. I have a doubt about the evaluator section systemically. Okay, I guess Amit, you have already answered, but maybe if you want to reiterate, when does the link get activated for their submission? And do I need to submit my whole application so that the evaluator receives the link for evaluation?
No. So the link gets submitted immediately once you click submit in the L1 section. So you need not submit the whole application for the evaluator to get the link. In fact, evaluator can submit his evaluation even before you complete your application. So perfectly fine.
Question from Hardik. When can we apply for YLP program in pre-final year?
So we'll be starting the YLP link on our application portal on our website shortly. I'll say you check back by this weekend, and the link should be live on our website, and you can apply, start building your application, YLP application by the end of this week.
And just skipping few questions which have been repeated. Question from Anusha. I have done a number of full-time internships during the course of my undergraduate and postgraduate degree. I have added these details to my application, but the last submit tab shows the time between these internships as gaps. Anusha, yeah, if you can also share the screenshot of that error message, it will be helpful. Yeah, Amit, if you just want to go ahead and.
Yeah. So one thing could be if you have done it during your undergrad, in which it is clashing with your undergrad, then you cannot enter them as full-time work experience. For example, if you are completing your undergrad in May 2020 and you have done your internship from Jan 20 to May 20, that will not be counted as a full-time work experience. You have to enter that as part-time work experience because as per ICE application portal, you can have only one full-time activity at a time, and your undergrad is your full-time activity. So if you do any internships during part of your undergrad, it should be as a part-time activity. So change that to part-time, and I guess your error message will disappear. If it still doesn't, write to us at pgp@isb.edu, call us on our numbers, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Question from Ajay. As per the batch size profile, I have seen most of them are having work experience between 3 to 5 years. So I don't think the question is complete, but yeah, Amit, if you just want to talk about the entire batch profile which we have.
Yeah, so we have people with 2 to 22 years of work experience. As I said, we look at a holistic profile-based evaluation. We are age agnostic, right? So there are people with even 2 years of work experience. There are people with 22 years of work experience as well. And the average age is 4 years and 6 months. So it's not 2 to 3 years that we have people with. We have people across the age work experience vertical from 2 years to 22 years. And there are in fact significant number of people with more than 8 to 9 years of work experience, what we call the senior executives club at ISB, for which placement team interacts specifically with them individually to ensure that we're able to get opportunities commensurate with their prior work experience. So yes, age range is between 2 to 22 years. It's a huge diverse batch in terms of age as well. Work experience as well, sorry. Ages between 22 to 44 years.
Question from Divya. If my startup has media mentions, can I write that in achievements section?
Yes, you can write the management sections and make sure that you have the copies of those media's screenshots or physical cutouts when you come to ISB for verification.
Question from Adya. I did my PGP diploma as a full-time course. and later did lateral masters from a different institution via distance education while I was working. What will be the best way to represent this on my application?
So you mentioned them as two separate academics. So mention your PG diploma separately and the masters separately is what I suggest you should do. I'm not very sure whether it will work for you, but if it doesn't, please do write to us and we will guide you on that. But I think best way to go forward is to separate them into two different uh, academics, a PG diploma and a master's. Because I'm assuming PG diploma will be full time and master's is a distance learning. So mention them separately.
And at this same time, she was working as well. So it might collide with the work experience time duration.
Then one of them has to be a part-time. The master's with distance could be a part-time thing. That's which is perfectly fine.
Question from Jatin. I'm unable to send the official score from GMAC website to ISB. On the GMAC website, it says they are facing issues sending the score. What should I do?
So you apply with your unofficial score, like we mentioned earlier. Enter your scores which you have seen, and then upload your test taken confirmation. So test appointment email you might have, convert into PDF, upload that in the section. And once you get your official scores, then send them to ISP and also send them through a mail stating that I have now received official score and please plug them in my application number as per the test report.
Question from Dhriti. In work experience, can we mention about a particular large project handled under job responsibilities section?
Yes, definitely you should do that. So that will showcase the kind of work you have done to the evaluators as well as to the interviewers. So definitely you should mention such outstanding work related achievements you might have, or something which you want to highlight. Please do highlight such things which you want to talk to, which you can talk about in the interview as well.
Yeah, I think while Ajay was typing his question, which I asked about 3 to 5 years experience, in between many others, two candidates also typed in their question. So the remaining part of the question is what I can see now. So basically, he has 9 years of work experience, and he wants to know if it will have a negative impact. You can also talk about the senior executive club here.
Not at all. So, Ajay, in fact, there are significant number of people who are above 9 years of work experience, 8+ years of work experience. So 8+ years of work experience is considered under senior executives club. And last year, when the batch size was on the lower side, we had just 691 people in the class last year. We had around 70 to 80 people in the senior executives club last year, GP. Yeah. So last year, senior executives club, we had 70 to 80 people in the last
Yeah,
year's batch.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So out of 690, 70 to 80 were in this were above 8 years of work experience, which is around 12% of the batch. So you can look at this particular statistics that we have significant number of people with more than 8 years of work experience. So somebody with 8, 9, 10, 11 years of work experience is not going to be an outlier. You'll have a lot of other people with the similar uh, experience bracket on campus. And such people also have access to the choices of placement opportunities at higher roles and at higher levels.
Question from Gayatri. I was notified by ISB admission team that evaluator cannot be someone we worked with more than 1 year ago. I had taken it from an ex-colleague with whom I worked 3 years ago. Based on admission team advice, I have changed it and now taken from my current manager. But his articulation skills are not as good. I'm worried this might impact my chances. Would the articulation skills of evaluator matter?
So here in the evaluation, it consists mostly of multiple choice questions where, the first 5 or 6 questions focus on evaluators giving making choices from 5 or 6 options which he or she has about you. So here in those 5 6 questions, the articulation skills do not matter at all because the evaluator just has to tick one of the options or two of the options as applicable in those questions. There are 2 questions which are subjective, where the evaluator has to type out the things, but those questions are more on the lines of how well he or she has known the candidate and in what capacity. So the major questions there would be where the evaluator has to tick the options. So I don't think that should be a constraint at all.
Question from Anusha. The first essay talks about a personal quality in reference to leadership. Is it recommended that we provide examples which are only applicable to personal experience, or we must add professional experience as well?
So totally up to you. You can add professional experiences as long as they highlight the personal quality which you're talking about. The focus is more on the quality and the experiences, whichever they are, which they should be highlighting the quality, right? Whether they're personal, whether they're professional, perfectly okay. The quality is the important thing.
A question from Vineet. I left my organization in October and I reached out for HR details and they have given only email address. Is that acceptable by ISB as no other HR details were given?
Yes, that is acceptable by ISB.
Question from Shivam. The first part you have answered, so I'm not repeating it. Since I fall under EEO bracket, what different areas can we focus on while mentioning achievements under work ex section, considering 7 to 8 months of work experience?
So look, focus on your responsibilities at work, any significant contributions which you have made, any impact which you have, immediate impact which you have made in the last, since you have joined the work. So those should be the things you should focus on in the work experience part, because you may not have significant progression at this time, and we understand that. But of course, talk about your responsibilities, talk about the impact which you've done in the initial few months. So that should be what you should focus on.
Saloni asks, do we need to consider best of 4 or best of 5 marks for class 12?
So you will at least enter what has been mentioned in your application, in the mark sheet. So it should corroborate with your mark sheets. So that is what we look at. I know in some certain cases, uh, uh, in CBSE, best of 4 are considered, but we will take all the marks which are mentioned on your mark sheet.
Question from Pranay. Where should we submit the proofs for extracurriculars, awards, and hobbies?
So you're not required to submit the proofs at this point in time. Proofs will be taken once you're made an offer. When you join ISB, on the first day, you'll have to bring all the required certificates for all your academics as well as extracurriculars.
Question from Akshat. I am applying for round 2 and I had 2 questions. Could we attach UG mark sheets instead of transcripts? This is the first.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Is a diverse professional experience or a functional change or a startup experience a plus?
Yeah, yes. So more than a particular experience, it's about how you have fared in that experience and what are the insights you have gained and kind of exposure you have in that particular role. That is more important. You may be working for a startup, but if you have not had much exposure, then it may not work well. But it's also about exposure in the role and the work which you have done. That's more important, regardless of the kind of organizations you're working. But yes, if you have a good exposure in startup, that this thing, it definitely goes in your favor. Or for that matter, any other hot, tech industries or MNCs and so on.
Just one request to everyone, please do not keep copy pasting the same question. I am trying to read through all the questions and trying to answer, we are trying to answer all those questions. So just be patient, we are trying. And I'm just going in the order of how it has been asked. And like we have already reached our time to close the session, but we'll still extend a bit and try to answer those questions. So Divya, you have asked, you have recently completed a domain certification. Under which section you have to add it? So I have already answered it. Under the additional education section in your academics. So you'll have a link which reads additional education and you can add all the details of your certification there. Okay, Amit, if you would want to repeat this. I am a reapplicant, so what should reapplicant essay contain?
So, and in the reapplicant essay, it's just another opportunity for the candidates to talk about their most recent achievements and highlight the same. So, one thing the reapplicant essay, we want to know is how your profile has changed since the time you applied to ISB, and that is last 7 8 months. So this is the best place to highlight, talk about your most recent projects, achievements, professional or personal, something which you're very comfortable talking about in the interview. So most of the candidates I have known have used this space as a conversation starter. So ALMs, when they go to your application at the time of interview, they only have qualitative information in the application, not the quantitative one. They will not know your GMAT score or undergrad, but they'll definitely have all the qualitative information like your essays. And they definitely read your essays while coming to interview you. And in that, definitely the reapplicant essay, because that interests them in terms of what you have been doing since your last application. And a lot of times the conversations get started from the reapplicant essay. And if you have mentioned something there which you're very passionate about, or which you're very much prepared about, which you can talk at length, the conversation gets started on a very positive note. And from there, the interview, you're in a position to control the interview. So use the space wisely to talk about something which you can, speak to alums in the interview, which will be interesting enough to be picked up in the interview. So that's what I suggest to all the candidates who are applicants, that this is a very good opportunity for you to talk about your achievements and highlight them to the alums.
Question from Sumukh. When might be the R3 deadline? Are chances of getting in low compared to R2?
So at ISB, we look at cutoffs. We do not have a fixed number of seats across the rounds. We have a cutoff. Anybody who meets that cutoff is made an offer. That's why you see the seats fluctuating year on year. Some years they are EDT, some year they are 900, some year they are 930. So as long as you meet the cutoff, you will be made an offer, whether it's in round one, round two, or round three. Right now, having said that, the round three deadline is going to be 30th of Jan, 2022. Now, one disadvantage of applying in round three is that your results will come out by March, first week of March, and the classes start on 2nd of April. And you will have only that 1 month window to apply for loans, to integrate into the ISB ecosystem, to talk to your buddy, to be prepared for the ISB journey, 1 year at ISB. So, if you're in a position to apply in round two, I'll suggest do so. Do not push your application to round three, because the time alone when you get an offer to the time that you are joining, it's a time which can be utilized very wisely by connecting to the buddies, to the mentors, to the ISB ecosystems, with the various events which offer candidates are part of. So that itself is a experience which will prepare you for an ISB journey. Don't miss out on that. Having said that, if you're not ready for round two, go ahead and apply in round three. There is not there's no difference in terms of the cutoff when down.
Question from Sayed. Can you please provide some info about interviews? What exactly does ISB look for in a candidate during an interview?
So the interviews at ISB are conducted by ISB LMs, and they will have all the qualitative information on your profile, where you have studied, what work you have been doing, which organizations, what are the responsibilities, achievements, extracurriculars, essays, and so on. So what they'll not have is your undergrad scores, 10th till 12th scores, and your GMAT scores. Now, interviewers are looking at three broad themes to prove in the interview. One is what is your current skill sets, under which they'll ask you questions on your current work profile, what work you've been doing, about your interests, about your industry working in, and so on and so forth. The second theme is what skill sets you want to acquire at ISB. So questions like why ISB, why MBA, how will ISB help you achieve your goals, and so on and so forth. The third theme is what careers you want to build, how you want to build a career post ISB using your pre and post ISB, pre and ISB acquired skill sets. So here again, questions like what industry you want to work in, how you want to, if not this industry, which particular industry, which companies, target companies, and so on. So now here the key thing is to be consistent with what you have written in your application, and second is to link all the three things. For example, if you mention that these are my current skill sets, if you know those skill sets, how you are going to supplement those skill sets at ISB, and how you are going to link those skill sets to a particular role which you are looking at. That becomes the key thing in the interviews at ISB. What ISB interview is not is, it's not a stress interview. LMs are not there to stress you out and look at how you perform under stress. It's not a knowledge-based interview. LMs are not going to talk about your knowledge of undergrad courses or so on and so forth. It's purely an interaction on your aspirations and motivations on why you want to pursue a PGP at ISB and how it will help you in your career.
Question from Ayush. After how many days of submitting the application will we receive an interview call? And just I am also adding on top of that. And by when will the offers also be rolled out to R2 candidates?
Sure. So for R2 candidates, the deadline is 5th of December. And then we'll take at least 14 days to, verify your application, see if all the interviews, all the application information is correct. All the verified and completed applications will be sent for reviews, and this will take between anytime between 14 to 21 days. So interview will be scheduled by first week of January, the first Sunday of January, which is I think 2nd of Jan, and for that we'll start receiving interview calls by 25th or 26th of December, and we'll complete all the interviews within 3 weekends and release the results for interviews for round 2 by end of January.
Question from Justin. By when will the R1 offers be rolled out?
So all the R1 offers will be rolled out on 4th of December. By the end of this week, barring a couple of people, all the others would have received their decisions, whether you've been admitted, whether you've been waitlisted, or whether you have not been shortlisted for this year.
Question from Sanjeev. How does ISB evaluate the experience of young professionals who have gone through the COVID crisis and weren't able to excel that much in job due to the COVID shutdown?
So, see, success is measured in various ways. It's not just about, having a certain kudos at work, or having led large teams, or having achieved successfully carried out a project. It's also a function of the circumstances that you are part of. So all those things are considered when we evaluate candidates. So when we interview candidates, if you've gone through difficult times and if you have learned something from them, and if it reflects on your profile, on your persona, all that matters. So do not look at success just as a few achievements on your resume or a few uh, uh, trophies or certificates. It's much more about what you have gained through those earning those things, or much more, even if you have done those things, what you have learned, how you have grown as a person, and all that is evident in an interview. So people who are interviewing you are people who with significant work experience, who have gone through the process. They can gauge how you have grown, how mature you are, and all those things. So don't worry about those things. Leave it to the evaluator. We don't just look at superficial things like certificates and trophies. It's much more. It's about the growth that you have experienced. And tough times like COVID have given us all opportunity to grow and become better versions of ourselves. Showcase those versions in the application and to the evaluator in interviews.
Question from Varun. You have in a way answered it, but I'm currently serving in Indian Navy. I am due to complete 10 years of service next year, June. However, due to service requirements, I'm not able to give GMAT in the time. Is a GMAT waiver considered? Will round 3 also be conducted this year? So, your take.
Yes. So we are not considering people reverse this year. But you still have time till 30th of January to give a GMAT or a GRE. You can take it over a test center or you can do it online. So you have enough time, almost 2 months as on date, to take a GMAT or a GRE. The round 3 this year deadline is 30th of January. And you can take a test as late as 30th of January to be considered for an admission for this application cycle.
So question from Anubhav. I have worked at 2 different departments at the same organization. Do I make 2 different entries since the responsibilities were very different?
If you think the responsibilities are very different, and if there are a significant period between, for example, if you work for 2 years in a department and another 1 year in a department, go ahead and break it into two sections, perfectly fine. But if there's not much difference in work experience, achievements, responsibilities, responsibilities different in those two departments, then I think one is fine. But it's up to you. You can break it up into two as well.
Okay, I am unable to find any different kind of a question. Mostly are copy pasted only, so I think yeah, we have also reached 8:30 now, so we have overshot anyway by 13 to 14 minutes. So, in case if you have any other queries, uh, we'll be like apart from this, if you have any more queries which have been unanswered, we will be having one more application workshop tomorrow at 7 p.m. Wherein I'll be talking about the same things, but those who could not attend today, maybe might be attending tomorrow. So for the benefit of all those people, we are conducting one more application workshop tomorrow. And if you have certain questions to be asked, maybe you can join at a bit later point and ask those questions, and we'll try to answer those then. In case if we are unable to answer tomorrow also, on this Friday, we will again be having a Q&A with the admissions team at 7 p.m. For any of your last minute queries. So, you can ask your questions during that session as well. So our entire aim is to help you out in your application journey wherever we can. Just one suggestion, please don't wait till the last moment to submit your application because you can just understand, right? at the last moment, everybody will be trying to submit their application, and sometimes maybe our application is anyway sufficient enough to handle that particular load. But what if the payment gateway crashes, right? So uh, just don't take that risk. Uh, Try to submit a bit earlier, not at 11:59 p.m. is what I'm trying to say on December 5th. But yeah, apart from that, you are good to go ahead. Whatever changes, if you think you want to make in your application, or essays or anywhere, if this session has helped you to understand that how you can better your application, please go ahead and make those updates in your application. Thanks a lot, Amit,
So,
for
GB,
giving.
just one last question before we leave. Uh,
Sure.
Kirti Gupta has a question. If if I have a small business, what proof should I upload for work experience? So, Kirti, you
Okay.
can upload the company partnership deed documents or incorporation documents or the GST returns, anything which proves, says your name and which shows you working there should be fine. And yes, ITR proofs are can be proof for income as well. Sure. Thank you, GB. Thank you all the audience and wish you all the very best.
Wish you all the best. Thanks, Amit. Have a good night, everyone. Bye bye.